The lights in the medical bay were dim when Hyun-woo Park finished checking his last patient. He'd been working the night shift on Harmony's Rest for 3 years now. The huge space station floated between star systems, treating sick and hurt beings from all over the galaxy. Most nights were quiet, just like tonight. Hyun-woo was cleaning his medical tools when the emergency alarm started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. His hands moved fast, putting away his equipment. In 3 years, he had learned that when the alarms went off, someone was dying. Dr. Lee So-jin ran into the room, her face worried. She was the boss of all the doctors on the station. Hyun-woo, we have a big problem coming in. Get the trauma room ready now. What kind of problem? Hyun-woo asked, already moving toward the emergency equipment. The Velkari royal fleet just called for help. Their king is dying. Hyun-woo stopped walking. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Velkari. They were tall aliens with shiny skin that changed colors. They had 4 arms and could read minds. Most important, they thought they were better than every other species in space. They almost never asked humans for help. Are you sure they want us to help? Hyun-woo asked. They don't have a choice, Dr. Lee said. Their king is hurt bad and their own doctors can't fix him. Through the big windows, Hyun-woo could see the Velkari ships arriving. They looked like flying crystals, beautiful and scary at the same time. The biggest ship moved closer to the station. Hyun-woo had never seen anything so elegant. The docking bay doors opened with a loud noise. Velkari soldiers in silver armor marched out first. Behind them came 2 tall aliens wearing long robes. These were the Velkari doctors, Healer Kane and Healer Mora. Their skin was bright blue and purple, which meant they were angry and worried. Between them, they carried someone on a floating bed. Even lying down and covered in blood, Hyun-woo could tell this was someone important. The alien was taller than the others, with golden skin that flickered like a dying flame. This had to be King Thane. Stay back, human, Healer Kane said when he saw Hyun-woo. His voice was cold and mean. We do not need your primitive help. Dr. Lee stepped forward. This is our medical station. If you want our help, you follow our rules. Healer Mora looked at the king, then at Dr. Lee. We only came here because we had no choice. Our healing technology is far better than yours. We just need a place to work. They moved the king into the trauma room. Hyun-woo watched from the doorway as the Velkari doctors started working. They had machines that glowed and made soft humming sounds. Their 4 hands moved over the king's body like they were dancing, but something was wrong. Every time they touched the king, his body started shaking. The machines beeped faster and faster. The king's golden skin turned dark red. What's happening? Dr. Lee asked. His mind is rejecting our touch, Healer Mora said. She sounded scared. The wounds are making his telepathic abilities go crazy. He can feel our thoughts and it's hurting him more. Healer Kane tried again, but the king's body jumped like he had been hit by lightning. This is impossible. We are his people. We trained for years to heal him. Maybe that's the problem, Dr. Lee said quietly. You're telepaths. You can read minds. What if he needs someone who can't do that? Both Velkari doctors looked at her, like she was crazy. You think a mind-blind human could help our divine king? Healer Kane laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Humans can barely heal themselves. Hyun-woo, Dr. Lee called. Come here. Hyun-woo walked into the room slowly. The king looked terrible. Blood was everywhere and his breathing was weak. But Hyun-woo had seen worse. He had fixed humans, aliens, even robots. A patient was a patient. I want you to try, Dr. Lee said. Just check his pulse. This is an insult, Healer Kane said. If our king dies because a human touched him, there will be war. If he dies because you won't let anyone help him, there will be war anyway, Dr. Lee said back. Hyun-woo looked at the dying king. He didn't care about politics or wars. Someone was hurt, and he knew how to help hurt people. That was his job. He washed his hands and put on clean gloves. The Velkari doctors moved back, watching him like he was about to do something terrible. Hyun-woo ignored them and focused on his patient. When his hands touched the king's arm, everything changed. The machine stopped beeping so fast. The king's breathing got deeper and slower. His skin started to turn gold again instead of angry red. "How is this possible?" Healer Mora whispered. Hyunwoo checked the king's pulse. It was getting stronger. He looked at the wounds. They were deep cuts that went all the way through the skin and muscle. But now that the king was calm, Hyunwoo could see how to fix them. "I need clean water, thread for stitches, and pain medicine," he said. "You want to use thread?" Healer Kane looked shocked. "That's how primitives work." "It's how we save lives," Hyunwoo said. He kept his hands on the king's arm. Every time he moved them away, the machine started beeping faster again. For the next hour, Hyunwoo worked on the king's wounds. He cleaned them, stitched them closed, and wrapped them in clean bandages. It was simple work, the kind he did every day, but the Velkari doctors watched like he was doing magic. When he finished, the king was sleeping peacefully. His skin was bright gold again, and all the machines showed he was getting better. "I don't understand," Healer Mora said. "Our technology is supposed to be the best in the galaxy. Sometimes the best medicine is just caring about your patient," Dr. Lee said. Hyunwoo was washing his hands when he heard a weak voice behind him. "Thank you." He turned around. King Thane was awake, looking at him with large golden eyes. For a king who ruled billions of people, he looked very young and very grateful. "You're welcome," Hyunwoo said. "Just rest now. You'll feel better soon." As the king closed his eyes again, Hyunwoo didn't know that he had just changed the future of the entire galaxy. News traveled fast through the space station. By morning, everyone knew that a human medic had saved the Velkari king when their own doctors couldn't. Admiral Yoon Taemin, who ran the whole station, was getting messages from governments all over the galaxy. Hyunwoo didn't care about the messages. He cared about his patient. King Thane was awake but still weak. Every few hours, Hyunwoo checked his wounds and changed his bandages. The strange thing was, whenever another doctor tried to help, the king got sick again. "It doesn't make sense," said Dr. Choi Namsik, the station's expert on alien biology. He was running tests on both Hyunwoo and the king. "Why does he only get better when you touch him?" Hyunwoo didn't know. He just knew it worked. "Maybe he's scared," he said. "When people are hurt and scared, sometimes they only trust one person." Nurse Kim Yoon-ha came into the room looking worried. She had been Hyunwoo's partner for 2 years, and he trusted her more than anyone. "The king's guards are getting angry," she whispered. "Captain Drex keeps talking about weakness and shame." Hyunwoo looked through the window at the Velkari soldiers. They stood very straight and never smiled. Captain Drex was the biggest one, with scars on his face and arms. He kept staring at Hyunwoo like he wanted to fight him. "They think their king looks weak because he needs a human," Yoon-ha said. "Some of them are talking about taking him away from here." "He'll die if they do that," Hyunwoo said. "His body isn't ready yet." Dr. Choi came back with his test results. His face was serious. "I found something bad. The king wasn't just attacked with weapons. Someone used a biopoison on him." "What's a biopoison?" Hyunwoo asked. "It's a weapon that attacks the inside of your body. This one was made specially to hurt Velkari. It makes their minds sick so their own people can't help them. But it doesn't work on other species." Hyunwoo felt cold. "So someone wanted to kill the king in a way that would make it look like his own people did it?" "Exactly," Dr. Choi said. "And I think I know who would do something like this." Before he could say more, Ambassador Jin Young-ho from Earth arrived on the station. He was a thin man who always looked worried. He brought bad news. "The hegemony of Ash is behind this," he told Admiral Yoon in the meeting room. Hyunwoo was there because the ambassador wanted to meet the medic who saved the king. "Who are they?" Hyunwoo asked. "A group of different species who want to take over the galaxy," Ambassador Jin said. "They hate the idea of different peoples working together. They want everyone to fight each other so they can rule what's left. So they tried to kill King Thane in a way that would start a war between the Velkari and everyone else," Admiral Yoon said. "Right. But you saved him. Ambassador Jin looked at Hyunwoo. Now they have a problem. The king is alive, and he owes his life to a human. That's not the story they wanted to tell. Back in the medical room, Hyunwoo continued taking care of King Thane. The king was getting stronger, but he still needed Hyunwoo's touch to stay calm. They started talking during the long hours of treatment. I have never experienced silence before, King Thane said one day. His voice was getting stronger too. What do you mean? Hyunwoo asked while checking the king's wounds. Valkyrie are always hearing thoughts. From birth to death, other minds are always talking in our heads. But when you touch me, there is only peace. Hyunwoo had never thought about what it would be like to hear everyone's thoughts all the time. That sounds very lonely, he said. It is. Everyone who comes near me wants something. They fear me, or they want to use me, or they hate me. But you just want to help me get better. I can feel that in the silence you give me. Healer Mora had been listening. She was the younger of the two Valkyrie doctors, and she seemed more willing to learn new things than Healer Kane. Is this why our healing failed? She asked. Because our thoughts were too loud for his injured mind? I think so, Hyunwoo said. Sometimes the best medicine is just being quiet and letting the body heal itself. Healer Kane was not happy about this. Our king should not need an alien to survive. What will our people think? What will our enemies think? Maybe they'll think we're smart enough to accept help when we need it, King Thane said. His voice was getting some of its royal strength back. That night, technician Park Subin, who watched the station's communications, came running to find Hyunwoo. You need to see this, she said, showing him her screen. The screen showed ships moving through space. Lots of ships. They all had the same dark design with red markings. Hegemony of Ash Fleet, Subin said. They're coming this way. They know. The king is alive, and they want to finish what they started. Hyunwoo looked at the ships on the screen. There were too many to count. How long do we have? Maybe 2 days, Subin said. Hyunwoo thought about King Thane still healing in the medical bay. 2 days wasn't enough time. The king was getting better, but he still needed daily treatment. If they had to run or fight, he might not survive. Have to tell Dr. Lee, Hyunwoo said. But as he walked toward Dr. Lee's office, he heard angry voices from the medical bay. He ran back to find Healer Kane arguing with Captain Drex. The human has made our king weak, Captain Drex was saying. A true Valkyrie king would heal himself or die with honor. The human saved his life, Healer Mora said back. Exactly, Captain Drex said. And now our enemies know that their bioweapon worked. They know our king needs an alien to live. They will use this against us. King Thane was awake, listening to the argument. When he saw Hyunwoo, he held out one of his 4 hands. Come here, my friend, he said. Hyunwoo walked over and took the king's hand. Immediately, the king's face relaxed and his breathing got easier. You see? Captain Drex said. This is not natural. This is not right. This is what saved my life, King Thane said firmly. And if you don't like it, you can leave my presence. But Hyunwoo was worried. The hegemony was coming, and the Valkyrie were fighting among themselves. Somehow he had become the most important person on the station, and he didn't know how to handle that responsibility. King Thane was getting stronger every day, but the arguments around him were getting worse. Healer Kane kept saying that depending on a human made the king look weak. Healer Mora disagreed and started asking Hyunwoo to teach her human medical techniques. Show me how you clean wounds, she said, watching Hyunwoo work. Our machines do everything automatically, but your hands seem to know exactly what to do. Hyunwoo was happy to teach her. It's not about fancy machines, he said. It's about paying attention to what the patient needs. But Healer Kane was angry about this too. We are advanced beings. We should not learn primitive methods from lesser species. If these methods work better, how are they primitive? King Thane asked from his bed. He was sitting up now, which was a good sign. The king had been talking to Hyunwoo more and more. He said it was the first time in his life he could have a real conversation with someone who couldn't read his thoughts. When I speak with my own people, they already know what I'm thinking, King Thane explained. They agree with me before I finish talking, or they think thoughts at me instead of using words. With you, I have to actually explain myself. It's refreshing. Hyunwoo found it strange to be friends with a king, but Thane was easier to talk to than most people. Don't you get lonely being the only one who makes all the decisions? Very lonely, Thane said. That's why what you do for me is more than medical care. You give me peace. While they talked, Technician Park Subin was watching the long-distance scanners. The hegemony ships were getting closer, and she had bad news. They're not just coming here, she told Admiral Yoon. We're getting reports that hegemony forces attacked 3 other medical stations today. They're targeting places that help people. Why would they attack hospitals? Nurse Kim Yoonha asked. Dr. Lee understood. Because healing brings different species together. If they can make everyone afraid to help each other, they win. Admiral Yoon called a meeting with all the senior staff. We can run, but our engines aren't fast enough. We can fight, but we're a medical station, not a warship. Or we can try to finish treating the king and hope his people will help defend us. The Valkyrie Royal Fleet only has 3 ships here, said Security Chief Baek Min-ho. The hegemony has 50 ships coming this way. Hyunwoo was in the meeting because everyone wanted to know if King Thane could travel yet. He's much better, but moving him could be dangerous. And if we're separated for more than a few hours, his condition gets worse again. So we're stuck here, Admiral Yoon said. Maybe not, Dr. Choi said. I think I'm close to making a medicine that could cure the king permanently. It would take his body about a week to fully heal, but after that he wouldn't need Hyunwoo anymore. How close? Admiral Yoon asked. 3 or 4 days of work, Dr. Choi said. We don't have 3 or 4 days, Security Chief Baek said. The hegemony will be here tomorrow. That night Hyunwoo couldn't sleep. He went to check on King Thane and found him awake too. I've been thinking about what you said, Thane said. About being lonely. I realized something today. What's that? I've been king for 20 years, but I've never had a friend. Someone who cared about me just because I'm a person, not because I'm powerful. Hyunwoo sat down next to the bed. Everyone needs friends. Yes, but Valkyrie culture doesn't really allow friendship. We have allies, servants, and rivals. But friendship requires trust, and telepaths always know when someone is lying or has hidden thoughts. That sounds awful, Hyunwoo said. It is. But with you I experienced something my people have forgotten. Kindness without expectation of reward. While they talked, Nurse Jang Mi-rae was working the night shift at the communication center. She saw something that made her blood run cold. Admiral, she called on her radio. You need to see this. The message she had intercepted was from the hegemony fleet. They weren't just planning to attack the station. They had been listening to every conversation, learning about King Thane's condition and his friendship with Hyunwoo. They want to capture the human alive, Admiral Yoon read from the message. They think they can use him to control the king. Dr. Lee looked worried. If they can force Hyunwoo to keep Thane dependent on him, they could make the king do whatever they want. That's why they're not trying to destroy the station, Security Chief Baek realized. They want to take it whole. Engineer Ko Dong-hyun had been working on something in secret. I've been modifying one of the medical transport pods, he told them. If we have to evacuate, Hyunwoo could keep treating the king even while we're running. But Admiral Yoon shook his head. Running won't work. They'll just follow us. And if they catch us in space, we'll have no defenses at all. Back in the medical, Bay Captain Drex was having his own meeting with some of the Valkyrie soldiers. Hyunwoo walked by and heard part of their conversation. The human has made our king weak and dependent, Captain Drex was saying. Perhaps it would be better if the king died with honor than lived as a slave to an alien. You're talking about letting him die, said one of the soldiers. I'm talking about saving our empire's reputation, Captain Drex said. Hyunwoo hurried away before they could see him. He had to tell someone what he heard, but he wasn't sure who to trust among the Valkyrie. When he got back to King Thane's room, he found Healer Mora there, looking upset. What's wrong? Hyunwoo asked. I found something terrible, she said. I was checking the medical records from when we first brought the king here. Someone in our group gave him a second dose of the bio-poison after we arrived. What does that mean? King Thane asked. It means one of your own people is working with the hegemony, Hyunwoo said. They wanted to make sure you stayed sick. King Thane's golden skin turned dark with anger. Who? I don't know yet, Healer Mora said. But whoever it is, they're still here. They could try again. Hyun-woo felt trapped. The hegemony was coming to capture him. Some of the Velkari wanted their king to die rather than depend on a human. And somewhere on the station there was a traitor who might try to poison King Thane again. We need to find out who the traitor is, King Thane said. How? Hyun-woo asked. Simple, the king said. We make them think I'm getting worse. When they try to finish the job, we'll catch them. It was a dangerous plan, but it might be. Their only chance to identify the enemy among them before the hegemony arrived. The hegemony fleet arrived at the edge of the star system like a storm of dark metal and red lights. 50 warships formed a circle around the medical station, close enough to attack, but far enough to avoid the station's weak defenses. Admiral Yoon stood in the command center watching the enemy ships on his screens. They're not attacking yet, he said. They want something. The answer came in a message from the lead hegemony ship. A tall human man appeared on the screen, but something was wrong with him. His eyes glowed red and metal parts were attached to his head and arms. I am Commander Voss, the man said. His voice sounded like a machine trying to be human. You have something that belongs to us. Give us the Velkari king and the human medic, and we will let the rest of you live. Go to hell, Admiral Yoon said back. Commander Voss smiled, showing metal teeth. You have 1 hour to decide. After that, we will take them anyway. The screen went black. Everyone in the command center looked at each other. 1 hour wasn't much time. We need to move the king somewhere safer, Security Chief. Baek Min-ho said. The medical bay is too close to the docking ports. Moving him is dangerous, Dr. Lee said. And if we separate him from Hyun-woo? I'll go with him, Hyun-woo said. Wherever he goes, I go. They decided to move King Thane to the emergency medical center deep inside the station. It was smaller, but had better protection. Engineer Ko Dong-hyun had finished working on his modified transport pod too, just in case they needed to evacuate. While they were preparing to move the king, Healer Mora made a discovery that changed everything. I found the traitor, she told Dr. Lee and Admiral Yoon. It's Commander Zayak, one of our senior officers. I caught him trying to put more poison in the king's medicine. Where is he now? Admiral Yoon asked. Captain Drex is holding him, she said. But there's something else. Commander Zayak says there are hegemony agents on this station too. They've been here for weeks, waiting. This was worse than they thought. The enemy wasn't just outside the station. They were inside too. We need to find them before they help the hegemony attack, Security Chief Bayek said. No time, Admiral Yoon said, looking at his watch. 40 minutes left. They started moving King Thane to the emergency medical center. Hyun-woo walked beside the floating bed, keeping one hand on the king's arm. Nurses Kim Yoon-ha and Jang Mi-rae helped carry the medical equipment they would need. Halfway there, the lights went out. Emergency power only, Engineer Ko said into his radio. Someone sabotaged the main power system. In the darkness, Hyun-woo heard the sound of boots running. Then laser fire lit up the corridor. Security Chief Bayek was shooting at someone, but Hyun-woo couldn't see who. Hegemony boarding parties, Baek shouted. They're inside the station. How is that possible? Dr. Lee asked. The agents must have opened the docking bay doors for them, Admiral Yoon said. More laser fire echoed through the corridors. Hyun-woo could hear people screaming and running, but he stayed focused on his patient. King Thane was awake and alert, but moving him during all this chaos was making his condition worse. We need to get to the emergency center, Hyun-woo said. This way, Nurse Kim Yoon-ha said, leading them down a side corridor. But when they turned the corner, they found their path blocked. A group of soldiers in black armor stood waiting for them. These weren't station security. These were hegemony troops. Stand away from the king, human, one of them said. Come with us quietly and no one else has to die. I'm not leaving my patient, Hyun-woo said. The soldier raised his weapon. You don't have a choice. That's when Captain Drex appeared behind the hegemony soldiers like a golden shadow. His forearms moved faster than Hyunwoo could follow, and suddenly all the enemy soldiers were on the ground. I may not like humans, Captain Drex said, breathing hard from the fight, but I will not let anyone harm my king. They made it to the emergency medical center, but barely. The whole station was under attack now. Through the thick walls, they could hear explosions and weapon fire. Dr. Choi Namsik was already there with his experimental medicine. I'm not finished with it yet, he said, but maybe we can try anyway. What are the risks? King Thane asked. It might not work, Dr. Choi said, or it might work too well and hurt you. And if we don't try? The hegemony captures both of you, and they use Hyunwoo to control you forever. King Thane looked at Hyunwoo. What do you think, my friend? Hyunwoo had been thinking about this moment. If the medicine worked, King Thane wouldn't need him anymore. They could go back to their own lives, their own people. But if it didn't work, I think we have to try, Hyunwoo said. But I need to tell you something first. What? Taking care of you has been the most important thing I've ever done. Not because you're a king, but because you're my friend. King Thane smiled. And you have taught me something I never knew before. That strength comes from caring about others, not from power over them. Dr. Choi prepared the medicine. It was a clear liquid that glowed slightly blue. This will take about an hour to work. During that time you might feel sick, and you'll definitely need Hyunwoo's touch. I'm not going anywhere, Hyunwoo said. They started the treatment just as the emergency center's doors exploded inward. Commander Voss walked through the smoke, his red eyes glowing in the dim light. How touching, he said. The human and his pet alien trying to play doctor. You're too late, Dr. Choi said. The medicine is already working. Commander Voss looked at the IV tube running from the medicine bag to King Thane's arm. Then he pulled out a weapon and pointed it at Hyunwoo. Maybe, he said, but the human still needs to live long enough for it to finish. And that depends on how cooperative he is. Behind him, more hegemony soldiers poured into the room. Admiral Yoon and his security team were nowhere to be seen. They were on their own. Here's what's going to happen, Commander Voss said. The human is coming with us. The king can keep his medicine, but without his pet medic, he'll still be weak enough for us to control. No, King Thane said, trying to sit up. But the medicine was making him dizzy. You don't get a vote, Your Majesty, Commander Voss said. Not anymore. Hyunwoo looked at his friend lying helpless on the medical bed. He looked at Dr. Choi and the nurses who had trusted him. He looked at Captain Drex, who had fought to protect them, even though he didn't like humans. Then he looked at Commander Voss and made his choice. If you want me, Hyunwoo said, you'll have to take me. Commander Voss smiled his metal smile. Brave words from a simple medic, but you don't understand what you're fighting against. He gestured to his soldiers, and they moved forward to grab Hyunwoo. But before they could reach him, the room filled, with laser fire from a different direction. Admiral Yoon and Security Chief Bayek burst through a side entrance, along with a squad of station security. Get down! Beck shouted. Hyunwoo threw himself over King Thane's bed to protect his patient. The medicine was still flowing into the king's arm, and nothing could be allowed to interrupt it. The emergency medical center became a battlefield. Hegemony soldiers took cover behind equipment while station security fired from the doorways, but Hyunwoo could see they were outnumbered. More enemy troops kept coming through the main entrance. We can't hold them, Nurse Jang Mire said, crouching beside the medical bed. We have to, Hyunwoo said. 30 more minutes and the medicine will be finished. But Commander Voss wasn't interested in a long fight. He pulled out a strange device that looked like a metal spider. When he activated it, the device jumped toward King Thane's bed. Nerve scrambler, Dr. Choi shouted. It will disrupt the medicine. Captain Drex moved faster than anyone thought possible. His forearms caught the device in midair and crushed it, but 3 more hegemony soldiers shot him with stun weapons. The big Velkari warrior fell to the ground, unconscious but still breathing. Enough games, Commander Voss said. He walked through the laser fire like it couldn't hurt him. His modified body had armor under the skin. Give me the human or I start killing everyone else. To prove his point, he grabbed Nurse Kim Yun-ha and put his weapon to her head. Starting with her. Let her go, Hyun-woo said, standing up. Come, here then. Hyun-woo looked at King Thane. The medicine was working, but slowly. The king's skin was getting brighter and his breathing was stronger. But he was still unconscious from the treatment. 20 minutes, Dr. Choi whispered. That's all we need. We don't have 20 minutes, Admiral Yoon said. More hegemony soldiers were pouring into the room. That's when something unexpected happened. Healer Mora, who had been quiet in the corner, suddenly spoke up. Wait, she said. I know a way to speed up the medicine. How? Dr. Choi asked. Velkari healing techniques. If I combine them with the human medicine, it might work faster. You said Velkari techniques don't work on him, Commander Voss said, still holding Nurse Kim. Not by themselves, Healer Mora said. But if the human maintains contact while I work, it might be different. It was a desperate plan, but it might be their only chance. Dr. Choi nodded. Try it. Hyun-woo put his hands on King Thane's chest while Healer Mora placed her forehands around his. She closed her eyes and began to concentrate. Immediately, Hyun-woo felt something strange. It was like electricity running through his hands, but warm instead of painful. King Thane's body began to glow with a soft golden light. It's working, Dr. Choi said, watching his instruments. The medicine is spreading through his system much faster. But Commander Voss was getting impatient. Stop this now, or the nurse dies. 5 more minutes, Healer Mora said, sweat running down her face. I can feel his body healing. Commander Voss raised his weapon toward Nurse Kim's head. But before he could fire, an explosion rocked the entire station. Emergency lights flashed and the artificial gravity flickered. What was that? One of the hegemony soldiers asked. Through the communication system, they heard Technician Park Subin's voice. Terran Federation fleet has arrived. Admiral Park Sang-wook is engaging the hegemony ships. This was the distraction they needed. Security Chief Baek and his team attacked the confused hegemony soldiers. In the chaos, Nurse Kim broke free and ran to safety. But Commander Voss wasn't giving up. He charged toward Hyun-woo and King Thane, his metal claws extended. If I can't have them, no one can. Hyun-woo couldn't move without breaking the healing connection. Healer Mora couldn't stop either, or the medicine would fail. They were completely helpless. That's when King Thane opened his eyes. The medicine had worked. The combination of human science and Velkari healing had cured him completely. But more than that, something else had changed. King Thane sat up on the bed, and power flowed from him like nothing Hyun-woo had ever felt before. Not the artificial power of weapons or technology, but something deeper. The power of a king who finally understood what true strength meant. Stop, King Thane said, and his voice filled the entire room. Commander Voss froze in mid-attack. Every hegemony soldier stopped moving. Even the weapons fire from outside the room seemed to pause. King Thane stood up from the medical bed. His golden skin was brighter than ever, and his forearms moved with perfect grace. But when he looked at Hyun-woo, his expression was gentle. Thank you, my friend, he said. For everything. Then he turned to face Commander Voss. You came here to capture a weak king who depended on others. But that's not what you found. What did we find? Commander Voss asked. His voice sounded smaller now. You found a king who learned that true power comes from caring about others. You found a king who discovered that accepting help makes you stronger, not weaker. King Thane walked toward Commander Voss, and with each step his presence seemed to grow. Most importantly, you found a king who has experienced something your hegemony will never understand. What's that? Friendship, love, the willingness to sacrifice for others. King Thane stopped in front of the modified human. These are not weaknesses. They are the greatest strengths in the universe. Commander Voss raised his weapon, but his hand was shaking. Pretty words won't stop our army. No, King Thane said. But this will. The king closed his eyes and did something that shocked everyone in the room. Instead of using his telepathic powers to attack or control, He opened his mind completely and shared his experience with every person there. Suddenly, Hyunwoo could feel what the king had felt during his healing. The loneliness of ruling alone, the joy of finding friendship, the peace of trusting someone completely. But it wasn't just Hyunwoo who felt this. Everyone in the room experienced it, even the hegemony soldiers. For the first time in their lives, they understood what it meant to care more about someone else than about yourself. One by one, the hegemony soldiers lowered their weapons. They had felt something their military training had never taught them. Compassion. Commander Voss was the last to surrender. The metal parts of his body sparked and smoked as King Thane's telepathic message overloaded his artificial systems. When it was over, he fell to his knees. "I don't understand," he said. "How can weakness defeat strength?" "Because it's not weakness," Hyunwoo said, helping King Thane sit back down. The telepathic sharing had used a lot of his energy. Caring about others is the strongest thing anyone can do. The battle for Harmony's Rest was over, but the real victory was just beginning. King Thane's telepathic message had spread beyond the medical station to every hegemony ship in the system. Thousands of soldiers who had never felt compassion before suddenly understood what they had been fighting against. Admiral Park Sang-wook's Terran fleet didn't need to fire another shot. One by one, the hegemony ships powered down their weapons and surrendered. Their crews, affected by King Thane's shared experience, could no longer find reasons to fight. In the emergency medical center, Hyunwoo was checking on everyone who had been hurt in the battle. Nurse Kim Yun-ha had a bruised arm, and Captain Drex was still unconscious from the stun weapons, but everyone was alive. "Is it really over?" Nurse Jang Mi-rae asked. "The fighting is over," King Thane said. He was sitting on the edge of the medical bed, looking tired but healthy. "But the real work is just starting." Commander Voss, no longer the terrifying enemy, leader, sat in the corner with his head in his hands. The metal parts of his body had stopped sparking, but he seemed confused and lost. "What's wrong with him?" Dr. Choi asked. "He's feeling emotions for the first time in years," King Thane explained. The hegemony removed his ability to feel compassion when they modified his body. Now it's coming back all at once. Hyunwoo walked over to the former enemy commander. "Are you hurt?" Commander Voss looked up with tears in his eyes. "I tried to kill you. Why are you trying to help me?" "Because that's what medics do," Hyunwoo said simply. "We help people who are hurt." Over the next few hours, news of what happened at Harmony's Rest spread across the galaxy. The hegemony of Ash, the great military threat that had scared so many planets, was falling apart. Their soldiers were deserting. Their leaders were surrendering. Their whole philosophy of strength through domination had been defeated by a simple act of kindness. Ambassador Jin Young-ho arrived with a fleet of diplomats from dozens of different species. Everyone wanted to understand how a human medic and an alien king had changed the course of galactic history. "It wasn't magic," Hyunwoo told the reporters who crowded around him. "I just did my job. When someone is hurt, you help them. It doesn't matter what species they are or how important they are." But King Thane had a different explanation for the cameras and news broadcasts. "The human showed me something my people had forgotten. True strength comes from helping others, not from power over them." 6 months later, Hyunwoo was back to working the night shift in the medical bay. But everything had changed. Harmony's Rest was now the most famous medical station in the galaxy. Students from hundreds of different species came to learn the silent touch protocols that Hyunwoo had developed. The protocols were simple. Treat every patient with quiet respect, listen to their bodies instead of just using machines, and remember that healing comes from caring, not just from technology. Dr. Lee So-jin had been promoted to head of the new Interspecies Medical Academy. Nurse Kim Yun-ha was teaching classes to alien doctors who wanted to learn human techniques. Even healer Mora had stayed on the station to study with them. "It's funny," Yun-ha said to Hyunwoo one quiet evening. "A year ago, everyone thought humans were the least advanced species in the galaxy. Now they're all trying to learn from us." "We didn't become more advanced," Hyunwoo said. "We just showed them something they had forgotten how to do." King Thane visited the station regularly, but not as a patient anymore. He came as a friend and sometimes as a student. He was learning human medicine so he could better understand the people who had saved his life. "My advisors think I'm crazy," he told Hyunwoo during one of his visits. "A king learning to be a medic." "What do you think?" Hyunwoo asked. "I think a king who understands healing will be a better ruler than one who only understands power." The alliance between humans and Velkari had changed both species. Velkari technology helped humans build better hospitals and medical equipment. Human compassion helped Velkari learn to care for people they had once considered beneath them. But the biggest change was in the hegemony of Ash. Without their philosophy of domination, most of their member species had joined the growing alliance of cooperation. Former hegemony worlds were building hospitals instead of weapons factories. Commander Voss, his body slowly being freed from its military modifications, had become an unexpected advocate for peace. "I spent 20 years believing that strength meant hurting others," he said in a speech to the Galactic Council. "It took one human medic to show me that real strength means healing others." One night, as Hyunwoo was finishing his shift, he found a message waiting for him. It was from a young hegemony soldier on a distant planet. The soldier had been wounded in the last days of the war, and local doctors didn't know how to treat his species. "I heard about what you did for King Thane," the message said. "Could you teach our doctors the silent touch protocols? We want to learn how to heal instead of hurt." Hyunwoo smiled and started typing his reply. The war might be over, but there were still people who needed help. And that, after all, was what he did best. In the medical bay, a new patient was brought in. She was from a species Hyunwoo had never seen before, with blue fur and 6 arms. She was unconscious and badly injured. The alien doctors who brought her were worried. "Our healing techniques aren't working," they said. "She's too badly hurt." Hyunwoo washed his hands and approached the patient. He didn't know anything about her species or her biology, but he knew how to be quiet, how to listen to what a body needed, and how to care about a person who was suffering. When he placed his hands gently on the patient's arm, she stopped shaking. Her breathing became calmer. The monitors showed her vital signs getting stronger. "How did you do that?" one of the alien doctors asked. "I didn't do anything special," Hyunwoo said, beginning to clean the patient's wounds. "I just remembered that every person, no matter what they look like or where they come from, deserves to be treated with kindness." As he worked, Hyunwoo thought about how much had changed since that night when King Thane first arrived at the station. The galaxy was still a big, complicated place full of different species with different ideas. But now they were learning to help each other instead of fight each other, and it had all started with a simple idea. When someone is hurt, you help them. It didn't matter if they were a king or a commoner, an enemy or a friend, human or alien. Everyone deserved compassion. Outside the medical bay windows, ships from dozens of different worlds docked at the station. They brought patients to be healed, students to be taught, and visitors who wanted to see the place where the galaxy had learned to care about itself. Hyunwoo Park was still just a medic working the night shift, but he had helped change the universe, one patient at a time, with nothing more than gentle hands and a caring heart. The revolution hadn't been won with weapons or politics or grand speeches. It had been won with the simple human belief that everyone deserves to be healed.